Welcome to the Wise Old Soul. I'm your host, Chandler, and together we are on a journey to a higher perspective. Good day, everybody. Chandler here with the Wise Old Soul, and today I am so very excited about having Bonnie Serratore with us. Bonnie, welcome to the Wise Old Soul.
Thank you so much, Lee. Fun to be here.
Awesome. It's such a pleasure to have you. And you know, Bonnie, you have such a wealth of information, your life experiences, where you've been, the people you've assisted, how you learn from your clients. It just goes on. And we could sit here, at least I believe I could sit here and talk to you for weeks and we still wouldn't cover it all. But for the sake of other people, let me give them just a short little synopsis of where you're at, because you're an expert energy clearer, a master tracker, and spiritual accelerator, which really means you help people speed up their healing, their growth, their spiritual growth, and everything that you actually teach, you've learned on your own and not through others. This is all personal experience.
Yes.
I find that absolutely fascinating and exciting. And obviously, one of the things that I noted was that ever since you were literally born, ever since you were very small, you knew you had gifts within you.
Yes, I did. I would say that I didn't know it per se, but looking back, I knew. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always felt things. I saw things, but I didn't realize that that meant anything till I was older.
Sure. Looking backwards, right?
Yeah.
And I believe we have a lot of people that are in a similar situation, that because of being brought up in the 50s and 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, there was basically rules. You fit into the form of what we were taught, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent. It's like the ham. I remember a friend talking about someone that their grandmother always cut the end off the ham before they cooked it. And for him, that was the ultimate thing to do. And finally, they asked the grandmother, why do you actually do it? It's because it wouldn't fit in the pot.
Right.
But, we put so many different things around what we learn that we just automatically teach it without really understanding it sometimes.
Right.
And I know for myself, I knew that there were things that were different as a young boy, as I went through adolescence and eventually started to crack open. And now I'm doing a podcast wanting to share that opportunity with so many other people that are very wise souls, because each and every one of us are born and gifted with a wise old soul inside us. It's a matter of having somebody help us to open it up, or be brave enough, as you were, to go and find it yourself. What was it like growing up as a young person? What was your life like before all of this started?
Life young was extremely intense. And I grew up in a situation where there was a lot of, both parents gone, abandoned, so to speak, raised by a grandmother who truly had issues with me. So a lot of beatings, a lot of razor straps, a lot of switches off trees. So I was always in a state of trauma, But also, like, for example, I remember I used to play with the spirits because I would put my shoes by my bed, and then they would move them somewhere else across the room or whatever. So I was asking, did somebody move my shoes? And then people didn't know what I was talking about. But they used to jump on my bed. And so for me, it's kind of a trip, because the spirit world became the safe world. That was where I really spent most of my time, was in those other time-space realms. I remember the fairies. I remember, all these different beings. And just really quickly, I had a dog that came to me back in like 2006, and I had her for a while, and then she died. But when she died, she showed me that she was one of those spirit beings that was in my childhood. That was a trip. But coming to your question, I was really traumatized. So I was like one of those kids that, walk into a classroom and I'd be the one like all curled up and don't look at me kind of thing, and never raise my hand. Don't, you know what I mean? I want to just be invisible. So I actually did spend most of my life, and still am, in seclusion, that kind of thing. As a kid, I was just, oh, that was the other thing. The sensitivity, meaning I could feel everything, but I didn't understand what it was. And so most of my life, I was thinking I'm really messed up. You know what I mean? Like I have severe problems here, but it didn't matter where I went. I always felt everyone, and I felt all their wounding. I felt all their dysfunction. I felt all the angst in them, but I didn't know that what I was feeling wasn't me. So that was intense.
Hmm.
And just I did spend time alone, like I come from school, hang
Sure.
out in my room, and that's where I live my life is in my room. And that's what I mean. I did this isolation thing, and actually, I just want to share this too. Like when I was about 9 years old, I used to lay on the floor trying to will the body to die. I thought we could do that, but clearly we couldn't. I mean, I didn't want to be here. I just didn't want to be here. There was the intensity. I didn't understand the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I think sensitives, which a lot of people are, you come here and there's just things that just don't make sense. There's behaviors and there's feelings and emotions that just don't make sense. So it's like very confusing to be here. And eventually, of course, I found my way. But that's the thing is that sensitivity is why I never studied with anybody because I could always feel the distortion. And
Hmm.
that's what would happen. Like even going to church, I'd go to church, like my whole body would be like, there's something wrong here. This isn't true. You know what I mean? It's like, so that sensitivity was like all the time, never off. And so no matter where I went, it was challenging for me to be with people because, like I said, I'm just feeling all this energy in me. It was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. I mean,
And as a young person, not having really support at home with severe corporal punishment, your safe place really was in your room alone.
yeah, that was my safe place. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Just going into the realms, playing with the.
Into the realm.
Yeah, that.
And
Mhm.
a very good friend of mine who has since crossed over was a special ed teacher. And he said, no matter how difficult things get in adolescence, you always go back to your roots, those first 1 to 5 years. And so we have a tendency, if we're a little bit introverted, young and not understanding things, we'll have a tendency as we age to not necessarily be totally introverted, but we're very comfortable in our own skin. We're very comfortable with that time alone, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so as you aged and you got a little bit older, I know that you ended up, I believe it was in Arizona. And is this really where things started to take off for you? Because really you were
Mhm.
almost by yourself for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was. Yes. Actually, I had started the Renaissance Center back in, what year was that? 1989. Yeah, somewhere back in, I think it was 89. So I had that for 13 years. And that was really based on the emotional body. So I did a lot of shamanic work, but also I was doing big workshops and doing things that no one would come in. Like, for example, when I first started using what I call rolling people up in a blanket, this was happening. I was still living in Auburn and California, and that's where I had my practice. And that's where my business partner came in when I was leaving in 1990. So it was in the 89, 80, doing these kind of workshops. But what would happen is I'd be doing something, all of a sudden I get the knowing. Oh, and I would do it. And this is where I learned how to do all my really intense work with the emotional body was doing these classes, these programs, these workshops, and having the knowing would come in. And the Renaissance Center was really big in that it was really based on doing one's core emotional healing work. So 13 years of that. So when I went into the desert, I had closed down the center and I went into the desert. And here's my belief. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go into the desert, and if I can really just totally be alone and at peace, and just really feeling good, happy, whatever, that I will reach nirvana. So 4 years alone in the desert was not fun. Okay, I have to tell you, it was like intense. But what did happen is being there did change my work. I'm in a film called Awaken Soul to Soul. When the producers had come to my place in the desert, that's when I saw all this darker energy. And this is when I started seeing all the demonic stuff and the interferences. And that's when my work started to change. So I was in the desert when it started to change. going away, something more away from all the emotional work and more into like clearing and releasing energy. So in the desert, that's like I did a clearing on the one of the filmer, the sound man of the company, and it was, you know, it was like I saw these things attacking him, demons, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, that's when I really woke up to all the different kinds of interferences. It's just mind blowingly, seriously. I mean, sometimes it's like if I were to tell people what I'm seeing, they'd be thinking this woman's nuts. Get rid of her or something, you know. But it's real. It's true. I see these things, and my brain doesn't make stuff up because it's like one of those things where I try to tell a story. I have to tell something that's real, otherwise I can't create it in my mind. So that's a cool thing. And you know, just the whole experience of tracking, seeing, and all these energies. Then it alerted me. Then I really started looking. Like anytime I was working with somebody, I'd start really looking. What's going on here? Where's this really coming from? What is this interference? Okay, and this is when I started to find it's just mind blowing how much. It could be anything, anywhere, anytime, space, dimension, doesn't matter. People can be being attacked, you know, enemies, jealousies, all kinds of stuff. And things happen to people. So, you know, for me, it was just really witnessing, paying attention. And then I was on it, like, okay, what's up? Like someone would come to me, I made like really, okay, where's this really come? What is it really, you know, where, what, you know, and then finding it and unraveling it, which is really cool.
And just being able to see that, you know, obviously you've honed your skills to such a point that probably almost before you meet somebody, you already have a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, I get downloads. Yeah, I watch the energy get downloads. Yeah. I remember I used to teach psychic classes back in like 87, and students would ask me a question. Before their question was over, I went out, I immediately just took my awareness, went out into all time, space, wherever I needed to go, found what the answer was, brought it back, and delivered it before their question was over. Tracking.
Tracking. And that was, I was going to ask you, can you explain to me master tracker?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it's like finding the source is key. If you can't find the source, you can't finish the healing. Okay. So for me, what happens is the moment someone starts talking, okay, I'm already watching the energy. And what happens is as someone's talking, they're giving their, you know, what their experience is, but there's also emotion in there. So as they're talking, I'm watching the energy, and everything in me is always, where's this coming from? Where did this begin? What is the cause? Is there interferences? You know, so as I'm watching, what'll happen is, you know, someone will be telling their story, and I'll start getting knowings, I'll get images, I'll get, you know, the visual stuff, and I can start to see past lives. I'll see clearly past lives, the events, whatever they were doing, and how what happened that they anchored in a belief. You know what I mean? Like, so this is what happens. This is the carryover. It's an emotional frequency. If you don't know it, unravel it, you'll carry it forward. And then you're recreating that same thing in the next life over and over and over and over and over. Okay. So I'm looking for, where did this begin? Sometimes I'll track back into just, you know, the lifetime before any of that angst was there. So I can get a sense of what caused it. What beliefs did they start to have? Because I can see their beliefs, their conclusions. Like, for example, let's say that someone was beaten severely and, you know, almost died from those beatings. Okay, so as I track in, I'm going to find, oh yeah, so what did they feel? What did they believe? What are they still holding? And then that'll match what they're still believing in their subconscious right here, right now. Okay, so they'll conclude something like, they're never going to be okay. Their body will never heal. They might be severely damaged. That there's something like, there could be something really wrong with them, that they caused it. But all these beliefs get anchored in, and then this is how we keep recreating those same kinds of situations, events, because the soul's trying to know itself. And the way to know itself is you have to surrender to your experience. That's it. No surrender, no knowing. And therefore we carry it over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes, the same stuff. So for me, it's about, let's be done with this. Okay, find the root cause, find the conclusions, the beliefs, all of that. So I'm tracking everything. And sometimes I'll see stuff from other lifetimes of other planets, other time, space. Sometimes it's this lifetime. I'll see if you've got enemies, people that want to hurt you, cause you harm. There's always discarnates, so I'm always looking for the discarnates, getting the discarnates out as well. And then any kind of implants, devices, mechanisms that are also interfering. Then also if there's any kind of critters from interdimensional, there's interdimensional beings that get stuck in people's bodies. So, it's just really tracking and getting a sense of what all is here. Because here's the thing, Lee, once you get all the pieces, that dance is done. That issue is over. Over. You're not carrying it over into your future lives. You're not living it here. What happens is your mind can't even find those thoughts. Your body no longer has those reactions or emotions. It's over. Game over. So, yeah, finding the seed, everything.
And as I was listening closely, it's not just a human life that has been repeated. As you said, it's another dimension, another planet, another entity. The soul's a soul is a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there, and it goes everywhere and keeps coming back, as you said, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yes.
And sorry, I'm starting to smile because the 4 years in the desert where you crossed over and you were going to find nirvana. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that.
Well, it's nice that you can stand back and smile about it, because without that, you wouldn't be where you are today, right?
Right. I wouldn't know what I know. It's true. I mean, Lee, I know that everything I have ever done, like when I was 19, I went into the mountains for 4 years, okay, and rarely talked to anybody. So I was 19. Then I did it again, like I don't know how many years later, but the same concept, only different. And yeah, it's like that time alone it changed me. It brought me to my, it brought me awarenesses. So yeah, all our experiences, my life experiences, everything has brought me to here. Even Lee, I already know coming into the world, I already agreed to have all this abuse and abandonment and feelings like I didn't belong. And like even the initial thing with my mom was trying to abort. So I had all that beginnings, like I don't belong here, they're going to kill me, I'm not loved, not wanted, whatever. So that gets anchored in, and then you live that until you don't. Okay, so, but I know if I hadn't had I wouldn't do what I do. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be doing what I do if I didn't come in and have all of those experiences.
And you have your experiences at the same time. I believe that we interact with many of the same souls that we have in the past, because there's unfinished business.
Yeah, well, not necessarily unfinished, but recycling. Like, for example, like with my grandmother, let's just use her. So, check this out. So, just recently, oh my goodness, so much has happened. Just recently, I did a major clearing of land, like severe. I've never in my life seen anything like this. I even found White Walkers. I've never seen that before. Anyway, in that clearing, when I was done, there was all these, like I hang out in the realms where there's a lot of people that came. There's Native Americans that came to help with this battle. I call it the Great Battle. Anyway, when we were all done, they were telling me that there was someone to see me, like it was a great thing. It was my grandmother. But in the soul, in the frequency of the spirit, there was a great connection. It's like usually the more intense the trauma of physical, the more intense the love at the soul level. You know what I mean? Like the love is there. So I'm going to hold this for you to have the opportunity to shift and change and heal, which is, even though she severely, hurt me, that hurt and all that messed me up to the point to where then I started seeking to heal. Okay. And that's where everything came from. So there she was, and bright as day, full of love and light. It was like, all right. So, for at the soul level, it was a great celebration.
Huge. And as you go through those clearings as an individual or other people do, obviously there's a domino effect. My belief, and I can't tell you where it came from. It's ever since I was a young boy. I've always said we're always connected, and I've always seen a silver umbilical cord that attaches everybody.
Yes.
All connected. We're connected to nature. We're connected down to rocks.
Yes.
We're part of the whole, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so when we heal, so do they.
We affect change. Yes. So it's like the physical body, the emotional body, all the light body, murky body, etheric body, astral body, all these levels of who we are, as we change in the internal, everything echoes out. Everything changes. The echo frequency that I vibrate out changes. It affects everything and it keeps on going for eternity, Lee. There's no limit to how much, as the energy frequencies, as we shift and change, it just keeps echoing, 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 echoing out. Okay. So every time I heal something in me, people are affected. Okay, the same thing with anybody else. And the truth is, we all have that divine light, creator consciousness within everybody. Every sentient being, everything of existence has that light. That's creator consciousness. We are that. So for me, it's really about clearing stuff out so that we live in that state, in that place of heartfelt, heart open, unconditional love. No wounding, no poor me, all that kind of stuff that we all live with until we don't. And, and then of course, yeah, so even I saw this way back when I would do healing work way back in the 80s. And I could see that as this person changed, it echoed, and I could see it affected, thousands of people, at some level. Okay. Maybe it wakes somebody up and they start to have a desire to do something. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know how they're being affected, but the frequency is happening, and the vibrations, people are feeling it. They just may not know it, but they're definitely feeling it.
And we all have so much that until we actually become cognizant of it and we start working on it, nothing really happens. Obviously, right? We have to, or at least be open to it.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally things happen. Something will happen in someone's life, it just blows them open. They didn't even expect, what I'm saying? But most people, you got to want it.
Yes.
You got to want it.
To make a change.
Nothing to do. Yeah, yeah. And see, for me, Lee, in the past, I thought I was going to save the world, okay? I really did. I thought I was going to make a difference. But I woke up and realized, whoa, okay? So I stopped trying to save everybody. And now it's like, if you want my help, you'll present. If you don't, not my problem. Here's the thing. We got eternity, okay? Does it really matter how long? Go ahead and hang out and suffer all you want, okay? Someday, some lifetime, they're going to seek to, to evolve.
Sure. And yet, I think sometimes for us to help others, we have to help ourselves first.
Yeah.
I think you're a living, walking example of it in this incarnation, that you've made a huge difference in yourself, which then has this domino effect on a graduated scale that you're affecting other people now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Sure. Yeah. And, in my life, as well as in the work that I've done, I started a charity with another gentleman. And we started that charity just to make a difference in families that needed some help. And so we built houses over in Cambodia. And the people that are attracted to our charity are people that just give, knowing that the people that they're helping will never help them from a physical standpoint, 99.999% of the time. However, the domino effect of giving and making a difference, we never know who that one person is. No different than this podcast. If one person hears a message that we present and they change their lives, we don't know if that's the next Bonnie Serratore that's going to move it from where you are to way up here.
Right. Yeah, we don't. We have no idea. Yeah.
And so put it out there. And as you just said, you're there. If people are attracted to you and want some help, you're there to help.
Yeah.
They will do what they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, too, for me, I just know that if we just keep shining our light, that light is going to affect others in time. You know what I mean? Like, the clearer I am, the more my energy frequency will hit other people, and it will wake them up to who they are, not to who they are, but it'll start that feeling of seeking, wanting more, questioning, And Lee, I don't go around like having thoughts like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking like that or whatever. I know that's true. But
Sure.
ultimately, all I'm really doing is I show up. You know what I mean? It's like I show up with everything I've got to any session I'm doing, any group, whatever I'm doing. I come with my heart open
Hmm.
and really with the desire to do the best I can possibly do to help people to wake up, to
Sure.
assist them to wake up.
Yeah.
And there's nothing at this point, there's nothing more I can do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go out there try to get people to convince people. I've already learned, leave it. Because when someone doesn't want something, I just recently had someone here in my house that said to me, I don't want to do any of my inner work. I'm done. I don't, it's like, I don't want to be looking at stuff anymore. It's like, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? It's like, it's okay. No one has to, you
Sure.
know?
Your choice.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. We don't want to force people to do things that they don't want to do,
No,
you know.
no, not
And
at all.
and I think we've all known people that want to make a difference or they'd like to change their lives, but I don't know if they're scared to do it. Um,
Yeah, I have a longtime friend who's visiting. He's actually a guy who's helped me with my first book, and is also we're doing another one right now. But we were just talking about this. It's like people are afraid, or like it's like pulling teeth to try to get people to do their inner work. It's like that once you've done it, once you've had an experience, and there's a shift, and it's like then it gets more exciting. Like, wow, if I face this, that could be over. But still, those first steps. It's like pulling teeth. And again, like you said, like we said, people have to want it, and they don't know that that's what they want sometimes. You know what I mean?
mhm.
People want things to be done for them, or wave the magic wand, or take the red pill, or whatever, and everything will start happening. It doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We are souls. We have to know ourselves and who we are. We have to know the atrocities that have been done to us and we have done to others, and everything. That's how the soul evolves. Without that, it's just the same old, same old, same old, indefinitely.
And it's just keeps going around and around, doesn't it,
Yeah,
sometimes?
and there's no way out of it. Okay, you
Unless
can live 10,000 lifetimes. If you still don't want to face it, you'll live 10,000 more. Okay, maybe
right,
not on planet Earth, but somewhere.
somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Well, and I heard you just mention your book, The Way Back
Mm-hmm.
Home, I think. And I think that was back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
that book still is 100% right on, true and real to this day. Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And you co-wrote that or had someone involved with you. That was Werner?
Yeah, that was Werner. So the material, it's all my teachings, but Werner, he's like a Rhodes Scholar. So the guy's like
Oh,
brilliant. Okay. So he's everything. So we sat next to each other, and this is a crack up because, I've been teaching stuff for a long time, but he wants to get the details. So he would question me. And I remember getting really pissed at him. Like, I already told you. He goes, well, I don't understand. So he makes sure he got it perfectly clear. And then thank goodness he did, because it made it into such a book that anybody can read it and understand it and work it and put it
mhm.
into practice, because he broke it down and he broke it down and he broke it down. I'm like, ready to punch him around. It's like, really? Okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, he dug in, found
Sure.
it.
Well, so many things are really quite simple. The basic building blocks are
Hmm.
very basic, I think, of growth. Now,
Hmm.
having said that, let's not oversimplify that it takes years, decades to really get to the point that you maybe truly understand yourself, what you're doing, how you can help people, and what's happening. Fair
Yeah.
statement?
Oh, Lee, this is trippy. Okay. So think about this. I started my journey in 1984. 1984. I had a moment, I had an enlightening experience. I had a different thing, but several times I've had enlightening experiences. But sorry. When I moved to Georgia, it's
Mhm.
like all hell broke loose. I mean, so many things were happening, and and for me, it because I already know I created everything. Okay. So there's no poor me happening here. Got it? So I got scammed. That almost ruined my business. I had people stealing from me when I first moved in. I had, connections with another person that was just like hitting deep unconscious areas that I didn't realize. I mean, there was places that still weren't cleared. And then just recently, I've been through major stuff that has totally changed my life in a good way. It's like a trip, Lee, because now, I mean, it was so intense that I went through some really deep stuff and unraveled even more stuff. And now I'm even more in my body. I thought I was in my body, okay? Now it's such a trip because it's like, again, I'm deeper in. I'm like, whoa, colors are brighter. Whoa, I'm actually feeling happy to be here. I'm, enjoying being here. And some of the things that I've lived with most of my life is that feeling where, because when you've had abandonment with your parents, there's that place where you're just looking for that unconditional love. Okay. So there's always that feeling my entire life, like looking for the one. I call it looking for the one, but it's really that it's looking for that unconditional love. And then, of course, picking wrong people, whatever, but there's always that feeling. And you can never rest. Your body's never relaxed when you got some kind of angst like that happening. So that shifted only just a few weeks ago. Like, I mean, it got better, but finally it was like over, you know what I mean? So the body, and then also being able to just be and not get antsy, like got to do something or watch a movie or distraction. Now it's like I'm just hanging out doing absolutely nothing and just being at peace. Okay. This is huge. My whole life trying to unravel this stuff. Okay. But your point is saying, that's what I'm saying. It takes decades. It can take our entire life to unravel all our stuff.
And so think what it's going to be like in another decade or two. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it does. Keeps getting better. Mm-hmm.
Well, now I know that you've got other people that you've worked with that you've personally trained. I listened to a podcast with Chris, as a matter of fact, where you talked about shamanism, which I appreciate. You've taken it so much further, and maybe I can get you to talk about that just a little bit from shamanism, of the connection with spirit and how that works. But you've just taken it light years past there, and so it's not to the point of shamanism. Would that be fair?
Right. Yeah. It's almost like magic. I mean, on some level, it is. It's like, like someone's having this kind of feeling in their body they've had all their lives, and all of a sudden it's not there. That's like magic. Okay. Yeah. So it's true. I have taken shamanism beyond shamanism and energy healing beyond energy healing, and created a modality that I do have trained people. And over the years, I have many people that have trained with me that are doing whatever. There's a whole healing center based on my work, the White Raven Center in Alaska. That was based on the work way back from the 90s. So that they're still doing that kind of work. But they, these are good friends of mine. We see each other, and they've learned much of what I do now and applying that. So yeah, so the work is beyond shamanism. It's that whole, it encompasses everything that you could possibly have to do to help someone be free. Whether it's their emotions, whether it's interferences, whether it's discarnates or attacks or enemies or curses, dark powers of darkness, interferences. It just goes on and on and on and on and on, because you can clear out everything. You can change a person's health. You can change their well-being. You definitely change their emotional stuff, which changes their lives drastically. And, what would life be like if, all these inhibitions that people have, traumas, what if they weren't there, And then that reminds me too, like all the sexual traumas. I have had a whole program on sexual trauma and how to unravel it. I mean, there's things that people just don't understand. Like, for example, the emotional energy of a perpetrator is going to be in the body. It doesn't matter whether it's sexual abuse or, a parent, pushing on their kid or whatever. You don't want other people's emotional energy in your body. You don't want perpetrator energy, their spirit, their soul frequencies, or their essence in your body. There's just so much to it. And I do remember when I first started doing shamanic work, like I said, my training was in Hawaii. Molly says, Bonnie, this woman needs a soul retrieval. I'm like, what? She goes, don't. Anyway, I knew what to do. I went in, found the piece, did a trade, and that was the beginning. That was my training. So from there, I look what I do now, you know? So it's just discovering and finding everything to set someone free, you know? And if we can do that, we change someone's life and we get them back onto their soul's journey and back on track in a way that accelerates them so beyond anything else that's available here on planet Earth.
Sure. And so, Bonnie, what is for people that are listening and for people that I have contact with on a regular basis, and we talk about some of this stuff, what is it that you believe? What is the first step that an individual needs to do to try to at least start the process to becoming free?
First, there has to be a recognition or an awareness that you're not as free, or you know what I mean. Or maybe you live with some kind of feelings of sadness or angst, some kind, anger, whatever. But there's an emotional angst, okay, where you're not at peace. If you're not at peace, there's something up, okay. So that's like the awareness that, oh, something's on. If you don't have that awareness, Lee, there's nowhere to go, okay. If you don't think there's something that could be better or freer or more uplifting, then there's nowhere to go. But that first initial thing is the recognition, I'm not happy. Okay, there's something off here. Once you have that, then it's like, oh, okay, what can I do about that? Okay. And then once we have that thought, what can I do about that? You know, there's all kinds of modalities in the world, of course. Great stuff. And for me personally, Lee, I'm the kind of person that wants to get from A to Z as direct and as fast and cleanly as I can. That's just my nature. I got Pluto Mars first house, okay? Can't help myself. So I'm going to go for the fastest, deepest unraveling. So for people, first kind of like understanding, you might want to start looking at different modalities. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that help people. And when you start seeing, you'll be drawn to something, okay? I think it's important not to get caught up in, am I doing the right kind of modality? Because here's what's up. Your soul levels are going to draw you to the perfect connection. And it might mess you up, but that's part of the journey that had to happen to get you to do something different, okay? So in my knowing, there is no right, bad, good, bad, right, wrong, okay? And all choices are already perfectly divinely orchestrated. So don't worry about the modality, but once you have that knowing or sense that you want to do something and you take action, that starts to open you up to thinking about other things, other possible things. See, what I do is extremely alternative. I'm almost usually the last person people come to, you know what I mean? They'll try everything else first, and then they go to this, because this is so out there, you know? It's so normal, really, but, you know, in our world, we think it's out there. But back in the day, this was normal, okay? So, and then too, it's like, trust your knowing, see? You have a feel about something. If you feel like this doesn't feel right, listen. Or if something feels, yes, this feels really right on, I can feel it, then do it. And again, it may not give you everything, but it will get you going, and magic will happen, shifts will happen, changes will happen, and then you'll just keep going, you know? Once you get on that path, there's no getting off. That's it.
Sure. And being willing to take that first baby step.
Yep. Yeah, that's the first step.
You know, I remember the first class I took back when I was in my late 20s with Tony Robbins. And I remember him just saying, hey, you know what? You want to change something, change it. And it wasn't from a spiritual standpoint. In hindsight, it was all spiritual, and it still is what he does. But because, as he said, if you take a step forward, that doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect right away. Right. We have that choice to change again and being able to shift. That worked a little bit. This feels right. But that gets us into a topic of knowing. That sense of knowing that's deep inside us, you know, right at that heart chakra. far away from this.
Yeah. The
This
knowing. Yeah.
has all that ego stuck in it,
Yeah.
right? And loves to grow on fear, yet that heart chakra, that sense of knowing, when we allow that and listen to it, we can really start to change. And a lot of what you've learned and what you teach is that knowing, correct?
Yeah. I mean, Lee, everything I do came because I listened to my own knowing. I'm not joking. I'm telling you straight up everything I know, because I did not listen to any other humans at all. I did not go into the spirit world, ask for guidance at those levels. I didn't use guides or any of that. I went direct and I trusted my own knowing. Like, for example, we're at a workshop in Alaska. Molly, this is back in the day, back in like 1989, 90. And we're at a workshop and I had a drop in knowing. This is that said, grab his balls. And I'm like, that knowing hit me again. I'm like, and it did it again. And I go, okay. I go, Molly. So I tell her, I say, Molly, do this. And she's like, I said, just do it. So she did. And I tell you, one of the biggest profound shifts that I've ever seen happen because of that. Okay. And it was, the guy fell on the floor and all this crying, all this energy. Then he went into the bathroom, threw up, eliminated. I'm telling you, it was a major release. Okay. And then, so a couple months later, I was flying back and he was going to pick me up. I walked right past him because I didn't recognize him. That's how different he looked. Okay. But my point is the knowing. I would do workshops. I get the knowing. I do work here. I get the knowing. It's like in my own world, in my own life, I get the knowing. Okay.
And so that knowing, do you see that it's attached to any guidance other than the universal energy?
Well, part of it comes from we have there's all these aspects of our own selves. We got our higher levels, and if we go direct, we got what I call the super consciousness level, and then we go into God consciousness, pure awareness. But all of this is still all of us. So the energy, the consciousness comes directly, like I know it comes direct, so I can also feel that. But and like you said, the knowing comes from within, the feeling. But I can also feel and sense as it's coming from way up there, coming all the way into me. I can feel it. And the knowing is something, we all have it. We all have the knowing. Okay. In fact, I really encourage everyone to listen to their knowing, because I've been all over the world, and in situations I'll get that knowing. It's like, do this, and I would leave, whatever. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, or turn here, or whatever. So the knowing to me is the guidance that always is for us, our highest good. It's not going to try and hurt us or undermine us or punish us or torture. None of that's happening. It's pure love assisting and guiding us. So the knowing is something that's my normal way of connecting, is through the knowing. Even when I did that whole thing in New Mexico, it was all I just knew. I knew I had to go there. I knew I had to do this. So I did. I showed up, and major stuff happened. Major.
Right.
Yeah. So
that sense of knowing, and maybe that's where the wise old soul comes from a little bit, of that sense of knowing that's deep inside us that everybody truly has.
Yeah, we do. Everyone does. You won't be alive without it.
Right.
Because it's us. It's that knowing. It's connected direct. That light inside is connected to the direct knowing.
And so going off on another little bit of a different tangent, Bonnie, have you experienced, because we're in physical form now, and I appreciate our galactic friends that are out there. We've been them, they've been us, or they could be us. In your time alone, did you experience any intergalactic friends? I know that you experienced fairies. I know that you experienced other entities that get talked about as fantasy here on Earth. They're there.
And yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. everywhere I go, it doesn't matter where I've lived. Like I lived a lot in nature, so there was a lot of tree spirits, and there was a lot of gnomes and little things, you know what I mean, of the earth, and then we've got all the different creature beings, and like for example, like I used to do workshops in Crestone. Crestone is pretty well known for alien stuff, spaceships, all that kind of stuff. It's also quite well known for, you know, for Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and that type of thing. So when you go there, I mean, I went there, well, many times, but I remember we were looking at the land, we were walking, and one of them, someone who had been, someone that lives there and does a lot of big stuff there. We were with him, and he was showing us, and all of a sudden I'm watching these Bigfoots presenting, and I also saw dinosaurs presenting. Clearly there was creatures of that in that time space. So, you know, it's just a matter of shifting your awareness, and you can see all these creatures and beings that were there in that particular area. And it doesn't matter where you go, in like different places I've been, different things would happen, different beings, different creatures, different species would present, you know. So it's like it's real. They exist, and you know, things do pierce through our veils and come in that don't actually belong here, that don't belong in this time and space, but they come in, you know. A lot of little creatures, they look like little octopus, and I find these a lot in people's bodies. Somehow they got through the veils, and they don't cause harm, but no matter if you have energy in your body, it doesn't belong there, it affects you, okay? So they can go into the light. Most of them just go back to their own dimension. So really easy to just help them go, you know. And then you get all these, like I remember, like for example, this is way back, teaching class, and one of the students had a tumor. And so I was showing the class, like there's these little insect-looking things. They look like ticks, so to speak. Those little things will start attaching, and then they start growing, and they can create, this thing had created a tumor in her body. So we take out all those little things, release the energy frequencies, and then the tumor started to shrink, okay? So again, it's just what's causing it, what's contributing to it, you know? And so in this case, there was absolutely these little things, these little insect-looking things that were affecting people's, you know, I see them all the time in people, you know. So when I see them, I'm going to go ahead and try and release them, clear them out, get all these little things out so that they're not going to attach and start growing and become an energetic, a physical energetic that starts to create blockages in the body. Yeah, so there's stuff, I mean, really, it's crazy. It's just crazy when I, you know, what presents. It's like sometimes I'm like, this can't be real. You know,
it is. It is. It manifests time and time again.
Yes, repeatedly. Yes,
sure, and with different people in different scenarios. So, you know, I can appreciate if it happens once, somebody kind of goes, you know, I don't know, but obviously it's manifested many, many, many times, hundreds of times for you. Obviously, for people that you've worked with.
Yeah. I remember when I very, very first started doing entity removal. Okay. I was working with this guy, and I could feel it. So he would, you know, back then I did it very different. Okay. So back then I would be asking questions. I'd say yes, no, finger, maybe finger, that type of thing. And then I was doing this with this particular guy. He was laying down, and I was kind of close, and I moved my body back because I could feel the energy of this thing inside of him. And I knew it wanted to hurt me. I could feel it. So I backed away. And then once I started talking to it, he started talking. He's called himself the Emerald Prince. Okay, the Emerald Prince. And he was from, I now call this place the reptilian world. So he was from the reptilian world, and he was sent here to be among humans to learn different things. And when I finally got this creature out, the guy, when he was done, he actually drew a picture of this creature-looking thing, and then he also said he had to hold his body because he was going to hit me, you know, like hit me, and so you know I felt it. But I mean that was my first experience of like some kind of alien reptilian being, and then once I saw that one, then I started to look for others and other people, and not everybody has them, but occasionally there's somebody who has some reptilian creature inside of them. So You know, it's that's partly how the discovery happened. And for me, that was back in 1987 that I found that creature kind of thing.
Sure. Which is obviously negative, but at the same time, there's also, I believe, benevolent entities.
Oh yes, there are. My sister used to communicate with, well, actually way back, we all used to channel and do different things, but my sister really got involved and she started communicating with these guys in a spaceship, and she did it for a couple of years, and the teachings that they gave her were the same teachings, same kinds of teachings that I discovered on my own journey. Okay, like serious, like whoa. Okay, but these beings would come and in their spaceships, and her husband one day he's outside and he goes, Blythe, your friends are here. You know, they had so she was communicating with these aliens every single day, every day. And she has so much information, you know what I mean? It's like they've given her so much information, and that information, they told her at some point she would, you know, be able to deliver it, but that hasn't happened yet. But it's the same information I'm giving, same, only different. She got it differently. She got it direct from the aliens. I got it from going direct, life experiences, tracking, watching energy, discovering, being all over the world, different countries, that type of thing.
Because you've been to, you know, I know Egypt's been a very important place that you visited.
Oh yeah, Egypt,
Israel.
Yeah. Israel was huge. I've been there. I was there 3 times, a month each time. Not just in Israel, but on over to the Sinai Desert, and you know, just that whole area. And a lot of stuff happened in Egypt for me. It was life-changing. And I saw things like, for example, when the first day I got there, I went to the Wailing Wall, and then I was shown, Jesus presented, and he showed me all the prayers, and he showed me people, they're putting the little prayers in the little, along the walls, and all these prayers are going up, you know. And then, I mean, he showed me so many things. We were where he cast the demons into the pigs, put them in the oceans, whatever. We were at the Jordan River. He wanted me to do something there. We were in another area where the Herod was, like the temples, and I mean, just all the different places that I'd been. He would ask me to do certain things, and I said at one point, I said, "Oh," and then one of the first days was where the rock where he did the bread thing. They now have it roped off; you can no longer touch it. But the rock is worn from people's touching it for all these years. But now it's roped off. But when I presented, when I got there, I started crying. He goes, "Why are you crying? You should be rejoicing at a reunion." You know, because I do have memory of being with him, being at that time back then. So there's things I do know that certainly aren't written about, or you know, that there's distortions in the stories, of course, but it doesn't matter. But just having these experiences in all these different countries, you know, like in Egypt, many things. Oh my, so much happened in Egypt. It was crazy, you know, and then Israel, and you know, I've been to Ireland, and just different places that, oh yeah, Peru was huge. Demons started tracking me in the underground. What do they call it when they bury people? I forget what it's called, but it'll come to me. But these demons were like tracking me and following me, and it's like, whoa, what's up, you know? And so just all the different places I've been in the world I've been, and just get different teachings, see different things, have different experiences, discover different things. So yeah, that's part of been my journey in awareness, waking up, understanding, is to be in different places in the world.
So do you I don't want to say tours, but do you take students sometimes to some of these locations?
Oh yeah. That's what I used to do. I used to take. Yes, that kind of got turned down or off when the whole COVID thing happened. But prior to that, yes, I used to take people to Egypt. I would take them, you know, like different places, you know, and not even in the States. There's awesome places we would go, but yes, to different places in the world, and giving people experiences, and helping. You know, for me, it's all about clearing energy, you know what I mean? It's all about healing and waking up. And when you go to these places, like for example, Egypt there's sacred sites there. Okay, there's the temples are there, and all the temples. This is for the initiates. I mean, I have memory of being an initiate, high priestess, initiate. And so we had a group of people, there was about 18 of us, and we literally shifted an energy frequency that was going right up, because the temple, I didn't notice till we got there, the temple of Isis had been moved a quarter of a mile when they put the Nile in. They did it brick by brick, you know what I mean, like thing by thing. And so it was identical, but the alignment that had been was no longer aligned. And so we had to align it. And then when I was there, many different things were happening that I was asked to do. But basically, you go to these temples and you start having past life memories, and everybody were running around. And I'm remembering it's a trip because there's different people. Like this one woman, I can still see her so clearly when she was a kid in the temples. You know, and here she's an adult, and they're remembering me. You know what I mean? It was a trip. People were remembering. So yeah. So, and yes, would take people.
Before, here they are. And as I say, those souls, we reconnect.
Yes, we have soul families. Yes.
Yeah, very much.
Definitely.
But now, Bonnie, I know people can get a hold of you different ways. Spiritualacceleration.com is obviously
that's the website. Yeah.
To start. You also have something on Facebook as well, if I'm not mistaken. Quantum consciousness.
Oh yeah, quantum consciousness. Oh wait, yeah, Consciousness Unleashed. That's the name of it. That's that's YouTube. We got YouTube, Consciousness Unleashed. We do have Facebook, what do you call it? StreamYard, LinkedIn. Yeah, we stream live stuff on LinkedIn, Facebook, and what do you call it? YouTube. I do quantum consciousness there. I do Q&A there. Yeah, so those are ways people can connect. I also teach, I do group clearings twice a month. That's another way people can get in on, clearings, that type of thing. And I do teach classes, like I have a Know Thyself program, and we do have trainings of the work that I do, so we can do that. We have that. And I'm in the process right now of creating a new program, a more advanced program, where I'm taking and demonstrating how I track stuff, how I unravel stuff. So we'll, give information on the topic, and then there'll be a person I'll track and know that. Again, it's the knowing. When I pick somebody for a demo, it's the knowing. Okay.
Sure.
So I get a knowing. Oh, right here, come, and then we have this amazing demo. But I'm clearly showing all the pieces. So that's going to be like an advanced training. But yeah, there's different ways that people can connect.
Sure. And you do private sessions as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So people can definitely connect that way. I know when I was looking at your Facebook that you have these live broadcasts. I just couldn't help but smile. I'm just looking right now of the different ones that you do. I think it's in August, if I'm not mistaken, the first week of August. And it's tell your inner critic to F off. I saw that one, and I just smiled from ear to ear. But there's so many great titles and so many great things you do. But I really thought, what, that resonated with me personally.
Yeah.
And I do encourage people to check things out. Obviously, great place to start. Spiritualacceleration.com. We'll make sure it's in some of the details. Bonnie, I could sit here and talk for hours with you. You're such a blessing to us. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Oh, it's been fun, Lee. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, truly.
It was great. And you know what? We were supposed to align, I guess.
Yes, that's true. It's true. Yes.
Until the next time, we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you.